Mr. Speaker, thank you. Giving a farewell speech in Parliament feels a little like delivering a eulogy at one's own funeral. So if I leave you with anything, let it be my personal gratitude for the opportunity to serve, to make a difference, and the unending importance of doing politics differently. Politics is like pushing a boulder up a hill. All of us feel that at times, I think. It's rewarding and frustrating. It's meaningful progress in one moment and unfinished work at the same time. Three things I think matter as you're pushing that boulder uphill. Sometimes it rolls back down on you, obviously, and sometimes you get it to the top, or you think you've got it to the top. You need ambition, and I don't mean ambition in personal title. I mean ambition in ideas. You need a team. I mean, no one accomplishes anything alone, and I wouldn't have accomplished anything that I have over the years without my team. There's a quote I'm reminded of. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world, and the unreasonable man adapts the world to himself, and therefore all progress depends on the unreasonable man. And I think in politics, one needs almost unreasonable persistence at times. Now, it does sometimes pay off. I've been lucky to be a part of efforts to deliver progress at times. We've seen stronger climate action and accountability for my kids and hopefully for our economy. Action to reduce poverty. We've seen through the Canada Child Benefit, obviously hundreds of kids lifted out of poverty. The Guaranteed Income Supplement is incredibly important for seniors. We've seen the Canada Workers Benefit, formerly the Working Income Tax Benefit, increase in a significant way. Tens of thousands of workers out of poverty, and I'm lucky to have been part of that advocacy. A new disability benefit that needs to be improved and strengthened, of course, but again, part of, when I look back at the work over 10 years, part of the work we've been able to do together. If we had the courage to reform old age security, we could actually end seniors' poverty without spending a single dollar. I hope future parliaments get that done. Action to defend competition and protect consumers. It's been, of many things that I've been proud of, one is that CEOs of oligopolies don't like to come to committee when I'm there, whether it's Rogers, whether it's Bell, Stellantis, Facebook, Apple, Google, grocery oligopoly CEOs. And this is just a story here, Mr. Speaker, because incredibly important to work together where we can across party lines at committee. And I think it was my birthday even. I'm turning 42 next week, but it was my birthday a number of years ago. And I was so incredibly furious because grocery store CEOs had all been communicating with one another to cut pandemic hero pay at the same time for low-income workers. And I tapped out a motion on my phone. We brought the industry committee together and the grocery store CEOs to that committee, and we worked across party lines to deliver recommendations that the government enacted on to make sure we criminalize wage fixing, and what took place cannot take place again. We've built more housing. I've been part of those efforts and part of advocating, and I think we've gotten to a place where across party lines we all understand the need to end restrictive zoning and to get out of the way so the private market can deliver. I think more work still to be done to deliver non-market housing and to really truly treat housing as a home first. There's been action to protect animals, ending the captivity of whales and dolphins, to ban shark finning and testing on animals, especially cosmetic testing, to strengthen the criminal code against animal abuse. If you told me before I was elected that I would be at a press conference beside Jane Goodall and Murray Sinclair advocating for treating animals humanely, I would not have believed you, Mr. Speaker. Treating addiction as a health issue and Canadians as responsible adults. In one case, we have legalized cannabis, and no, the sky didn't fall, and now I am no longer a criminal. But overwhelmingly, we still need to follow through on following the evidence to save lives and truly treating substance use as the health issue that it is, the same way we treat eating disorders or gambling addictions or alcohol addictions. Being there for my community, and we've all, those of us who have served since and through the pandemic, have had the frustrations and the exhaustion, but the good fortune to be there for our communities, delivering for thousands of people, making sure that they were able to access benefits and supports in the most critical, timely moment of their lives. Also being there for my community, probably the most difficult time over 10 years was to be there with the Danforth families and the Fallon family in the wake of the Danforth shooting. And then to be part of efforts supporting those same families and advocating for sensible gun control. Can point to standing up for constituents. Again, I consider myself a pretty good advocate, but really an expert in nothing. And so when constituents come to me with ideas and they are expert in something or have lived experience, I can point to a range of examples, but I would hold up childhood cancer survivor Helena Kirk, where working hand in hand with her and other advocates, we were able to deliver tens of millions of dollars for pediatric cancer research and support. defending human rights and civil liberties. Dying with dignity, of course. Being elected, we were dealing with that issue for the very first time, and it was one of the first moments where I disagreed with the government to say, well, I don't think this law is constitutional, and we should fix it. The Emergencies Act, calling out the invocation, I think, in an overbroad manner, fixing overbroad anti-terrorism legislation from a past conservative government, and defending international human rights in a hopefully consistent way and with a sense of conscience. Rohingya refugees, Uyghurs, Hong Kong democracy activists, Palestinians, and more. And to make politics about ideas. In the pandemic, we transitioned from hosting regular town halls to hosting a podcast, and I've been lucky to have many colleagues in this place join me for conversations across the aisle to really make politics about ideas. A promise, when I think back, was a promise that I made when I was running in a nomination back in 2013 and 2014. Now, I leave with, yes, a sense of accomplishment in some ways, but also a sense of unfinished business. And I do hope future parliaments will take wealth inequality more seriously and generational fairness more seriously. We'll take action to ensure that in a wealthy country like ours, we don't see people live in poverty, and we see all people live with a core sense of dignity. That we see transformational action to deliver competition. We are a country of oligopolies, and we shouldn't be, Mr. Speaker. That we do see a wartime effort to build housing, transit, and clean energy infrastructure, and that we take international peace, assistance, and cooperation more seriously. We could use more Pearson in this moment. Now, this is a job, and I think we all know this is a job that comes really with little job description. It is what you put into it, it is what you make it. And I've had some roles, not an unending number of roles, but I've had some roles over the years. The Anti-Poverty Caucus co-chair role alongside Senator Pate, where we've advocated for basic income supports and strengthening a social safety net. Animal Welfare Caucus, which I helped to found with other Liberal colleagues. 416 Caucus Chair to help deliver transit housing for our city. Chair of the Interparliamentary Union and the team here on the Canadian side. And yes, Minister of Housing, where I was lucky to deliver for colleagues on all sides of the aisle, delivering housing and building housing faster. Although I will say, one of the most busy times, certainly, of my life. My wife can attest to that. 4 months, but though I will say I did serve under 2 prime ministers. Now, the role I have lived the most, the one I've worked hardest to make a reality, is simply to be a principled voice in Parliament, one that takes ideas seriously. One that takes ideas seriously, is willing to work across the aisle, acts with integrity, and more than anything, is honest. A value that I think is the most important value in this place. I wrote this a while back. I believe this to be true, but I think we can all agree with this, that no political party represents our views perfectly. We find the party that best represents our views and values, and we engage, debate, and organize to bring our party and country closer to those goals. We push, in my case, I've seen my role as to push the government to be the best version of itself. Yes, disagreeing at times, at one's best making that disagreement about ideas, and more often than not, with the benefit of time and persistence, seeing change. Just a comment on the importance of independence. I was just telling my wife this, but in the leadership race in 2023 for the Ontario Liberal leadership, I was in Norfolk County at an event, and a woman rolled up in front of the cafe that I was about to go into for the event, and she had all the F Trudeau stickers you can imagine, and she had, her pickup truck was decked out, and I went in, and at the event I saw she had a binder, and it had articles about me about that thick, and I'm not really sure how this ends. And I gave my speech, including, the ideas that I cared about, but also the approach to politics that I cared about. And afterwards, as I was working table to table to table, I came to her table. She quickly shut the binder. But she said, you know what, I really appreciate what you said about independence. We need more of that in politics. And it does strike me that, when you take a step back, not only do we agree on more than we disagree, but I think overwhelmingly across the aisle, we do care about the same approach to politics when we step outside of this place. Now, when I was first running in the nomination, and a 29-year-old who had no idea what I was doing, and a friend of mine from law school, she gave me a book, Tragedy in the Commons. And it is a series of exit interviews. I don't know if any of you have read it, but it's a series of exit interviews from former parliamentarians. And they all basically say the same thing. It's a series of laments. they say, you know, I got to Ottawa, I wanted to make the biggest difference I could on behalf of my community, and I got there, and I read the canned talking points I was given to read. I delivered the pre-written speeches that were written by staffers that I was given to deliver, and I voted how I was told to vote. And I didn't make the difference that I set out to make. When I got elected, I was determined to not give an exit interview like that. And in the back of my mind, I always kept this quote from Kurt Vonnegut, which is, "We are what we pretend to be, so we should be careful about what we pretend to be." I actually happen to think it's doubly true in politics. And when I go back to the very beginning, this is my last speech. When I go back to the first speech, and to judge the end, one might want to go back to the start. And I said at the time that I would stress the importance of independence in the House, the importance of thoughtfulness, and the importance of reasonable disagreement. And if I leave you with anything, it's this message, which is we should all act how we want this place to be. We need more ideas, more independent thinking, more honesty. Honesty is central to trust, and trust is at the heart of our representative democracy. So amidst the centralization, the pressure, the whip's couch, act how you want the place to be. And yes, so I can hear, the common answer to this would be, but isn't politics a team sport? Isn't politics a team sport? And first, I would say we are first and foremost trustees in the public interest, even if it means, yes, the occasional visit to the whip's office. We all win elections as a team, but we should remember why we win elections. We win elections to serve ideas. We don't come up with ideas to serve elections. The second thing to say is we're also voices for our home communities, and those home communities, they are our team too. When I go back to my local grocery store and I see a friend from high school, they are my team. When I go back home and I see the volunteer who knocked doors with me in the snow in 2015, they are my team too. And so I just want to say, yes, I've been a very proud member of the Liberal caucus since 2015. I've been prouder to be the representative for Beaches East York. I want to say thank you to Beaches East York, to everyone back home. I want to say thank you to supporters for everything. I want to mostly just say thank you to Amy and my family, mostly for putting up with me, but also for standing beside me.
Great job, Nate. No.